All right, Megan, so we're just gonna go through some wrist exercises for you so we can try to get this thing under control. All right, so the first one is just gonna be joint cars. So you're gonna try to hold your elbow still and make the motion come from your wrist. So you're just gonna try to make the biggest and slowest circle that you can, movement just coming from the wrist. Now, you can do both of them at the same time, like this. You can try to hold your elbow and make it stationary while you try to move the wrist around. Or you can do both of them at the same time, like this. Whichever one you do is fine by me, it's not a big deal. From there, we're gonna go into the joint mode, which is what I showed you before. So I'm gonna use my bed and my other hand to kind of block the joint. So I'm gonna put my palm flat on the ground. I'm gonna block the joint as I distract first and then come over the top of it. So I'm trying to create more wrist extension in this position, okay? So one more time. I'm gonna block basically the all and then the radius. I'm gonna distract, and then I'm gonna come back over to create more wrist extension. Okay, from there, we're gonna do the 4-way wrist stretch. This is the one that we do in class all the time. It's gonna be forward, backwards, lateral, and then knuckles. So it looks like this. So both my hands are forward. I'm driving my body weight over. The more you bring your shoulders over your wrist, the more it's gonna put it on tension, okay? Then we're gonna go back of the wrist rocks. So I'm gonna put my hands behind me, and then I'm rocking backwards. Here I would say try to keep your palms on the ground as you do this, and it should be a nice stretch all along the wrist flexors. Then we're gonna go lateral shifts. So my hands are facing lateral, and all I'm gonna do is shift my body weight left and right. Now we're gonna get a little bit more wrist extension here, and it might not be as intense as doing like a front rack position. Then the last one is gonna be knuckles to the back of the wrist. Now I'm gonna do it on my bed. You can do all of these on your bed or on a hard surface. Doing it on the bed actually gives me a little give, obviously, so it doesn't create as much pressure in my wrist, so it kind of like alleviates some of the stress, and it might help you build up some tolerance while doing this. So I'm in quadruped. You don't have to be in quadruped, but you can be. Knuckles into the bed, extend both my wrists down, and then come back up. Down, come back up. Super important that you leave your wrist or your elbow straight, because most of your wrist muscles, like are two joint. Okay, now obviously if those are all super intense and you can't do them, I have one on the wall that we can substitute in. So I'm gonna rotate this camera. There's my dog. See what's up. So you're gonna come to the wall. You're gonna stand ideally with a bigger wall or a better space, but you're gonna have your hands on the wall. You're gonna be at an angle, and all you're gonna do is do your wrist raises. The further away from the wall you are, the harder this is. The further your hands are down, the more wrist extension you're gonna go into, and the more wrist extension that you're gonna have to come back into, okay? Again, elbows straight while we do it. Last thing we're gonna do, let's get this back. Cool. Last thing is gonna be either a wrist curl or a reverse wrist curl. This is a 10-pound weight. You can use a 10-pound weight, you can use something lighter, something heavier, just kind of depends on what your capabilities are. Let's see how I'm gonna do this. So, what I want to focus on is the eccentric, so I'm just gonna lower the weight down nice and slowly, and then I can help myself bring the weight back up using my other hand. Once this gets too easy, then you can start to actually do some wrist curls concentrically. Now we also want to work on the eccentric, so I'm gonna bring the weight up into extension and then control it as slow as I can. Bring it up into extension, control as slow as I can. Again, try not to move the elbow, have the motion come from the wrist. If you have any questions, just let me know, and then we can take it from there. All right, cool.